Ji, this is the teacher Haris Bhatt, and you are seeing my YouTube channel Learn Accounting with Sir Haris. So today we are going to solve this question, October, November 24, 23. One of the difficult question. Why, sir? Because in May, June 2024, 22, right? We have a question of errors with company. Again, in October, November 24, 23, he has given again the question of errors with company, right? So company accountant, Public Limited of J Limited had prepared draft financial statement for the year ended 30th June. The following balances remained in the books of account. 6% bank loan, 11,000. Bank 1980 is positive. Inventory is current asset, other payable, other receivable, plant and equipment, property, retained earnings, share capital, share premium is given, taxation, trade payables are given, and trade receivables are given. The draft statement of profit and loss showed a profit for the year of 83250. As I told you that this is a question of errors, so we have to find the corrected profit. So I will find the corrected retained earnings, rather not the profit. We'll start from the retained earnings. Oh, sorry, profit for the year जो भी दिया हुआ है नहीं, प्रॉफिट ही मैं था उसको करेक्ट करने को कहा है बाद में retained earnings में we will adjust the profit in the retained earnings. So the profit and loss shows a profit for the year of 83250. So I will write here profit for the year is 83250, which is basically incorrect. So we need to correct the profit, and in order to correct the profit, obviously that profit will then be adjusted with the retained earnings to find the correct retained earnings. So let's find the adjustments what are given. So first is this, that it has since been discovered that no account had been taken of the following errors and omissions. Closing inventory had been understated by 2,000. Closing inventory has been recorded less than the actual amount. So the entry to record the closing inventory is going to be closing inventory debit, because it is less. So closing inventory debit, current asset will increase, and cost of sales will be credited with 2,000. As cost of sales is credited, so profit will increase. So add closing inventory understated, and that is for 2,000. We add हो जाएगा closing inventory understated, 2,000 will be added. No, we will not add. We will adjust all the amounts and then we will go for it. But remember this, that when you will write the current assets in the statement of financial position, you have to add 2,000 in the closing as current asset. Next, administrative expenses include an interim dividend of 3% that had been paid on 1st April 2024. Now he has said that admin expenses has include. Where is the admin expenses? Admin expenses are not given, but he has basically told us that admin expenses include an interim dividend of 3% that had been paid on 1st April. So what is the amount of share capital? 70,000. 3% of 70,000, what is it is going to be? 3% of 70,000 into 3%. Yes, 2,100. So you will pass the entry. Admin expenses is going to be credit, and retained earnings is going to be debited. Why, sir? Because an expense, which is basically a dividend payment, is recorded in the admin expenses. It should not be part of admin expenses. क्योंकि डिविडेंड जो होते हैं वो आप पे करते हैं स्टेटमेंट ऑफ चेंजेस इन इक्विटी में, रिटेन अर्निंग में से माइनस, तो रिटेन अर्निंग डेबिट हो जाएगा और एडमिन एक्सपेंसेस को हम क्या कर देंगे? क्रेडिट कर देंगे. कितनी अमाउंट है? 2,100. We have already calculated that. अभी क्रेडिट हो रहे हैं तो आप यहाँ पे क्या कर देंगे? इसको ऐड कर देंगे. Add admin expenses, because expenses decrease कर रहे हैं, so you will add it 2,100. Okay. Now let's move forward. An amount of 1,250 prepaid on distribution had been treated as an accrual. So let me make you understand this. Amount prepaid 1,250 had been treated as an accrual. Let's do that. Prepaid distribution, you have treated them as accrued expense. Now, what you will do, accrued expense is going to be debit. Prepaid distribution will be debited. And which is the expense? Just a minute. Distribution expense, sorry. So prepaid distribution to distribution expense, we will write here. But instead of writing prepaid distribution to distribution expense, we have written distribution expense to accrued distribution. So now distribution expense is going to be credited with the double amount. So what is the amount of the expense is 1250. So I will write here 1250, again 1250, and total is going to be 2500. So distribution expense is going to be credited with 2500. So I will add distribution expense recorded as an accrual. मैं अभी बता रहा हूँ 2500. देखें जरा गौर कीजिएगा सवाल को दोबारा से. An amount of 1250 prepaid on distribution cost had been treated as an accrual. The full entry has been treated as accrual. There was a prepaid distribution expense. The entry should have been prepaid expense debit and expense credit. But instead of passing the entry for prepaid expense, we have passed the entry for accrued expense. So we have passed distribution expense, expense debit and accrued expenses credit as a liability. Now, accrued expense is wrongly credited, it will be debited. Prepaid distribution expense is not recorded, that will be recorded. And distribution expense needs to be subtracted actually. हमने उसमें से माइनस करना था, हमने ऐड कर दिए. तो डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन एक्सपेंस एक दफा क्रेडिट करेंगे गलती दूर करने के लिए, एक दफा करेंगे रिकॉर्ड करने के लिए. The distribution expense is going to be credited by the double amount. So that is why, because it is credited by the double amount with 2500. So 2500 से expense आपका decrease कर रहा है, तो profit क्या होगा? It will increase. So profit will be increased by 2500. जी, बताएं आप. You have to go for the whole entry. देखें कभी कभी क्या लिखा होता है सवाल में, ऐसे आया भी हुआ है. Let me explain you. कभी इस तरह भी आया हुआ है कि admin expenses included, sorry, an amount of 1250 prepaid on distribution cost had been treated as an accrual in the statement of financial position. So it shows that only in statement of financial position we have done the mistake. But here it is not the case like that. We have gone for the whole entry. आपने prepaid expense to expense करना था, आपने कर दिया expense to accrued expense. Now accrued expense is going to be debited, prepaid distribution is going to be debited, and distribution expense is going to be credited. With the double amount means 2500 is going to be added. Okay, next. The 6% loan has been repaid on 30th June 2024. 6% बैंक लोन जो दिया हुआ आपको 30th June 2024 को हमने उसको रीपे कर दिया था. ठीक है जी. जी 6% बैंक लोन हमारा कितना है जी? So that will not come. Why, sir? Zaid, if you just remember, we are going to prepare the draft statement of financial position on 30th June 2024. On 30th June 2024, the debenture bank, the 6% bank loan has been repaid at the end of the year. So there is not going to be any change actually, because interest, whatever interest is supposed to be recorded, it is recorded on. उसने ये तो नहीं कहा ना कि इंटरेस्ट जो है वो आपने रिकॉर्ड नहीं किया हुआ और वापस भी बाद में किया था तो कुछ भी नहीं करना आपने इसका. हाँ, the entry will be passed that bank is going to be credited and bank loan is going to be debited, but that will affect only the statement of financial position. It will not affect profit. Why, sir? Because 6% loan after making the payment of the interest for the whole year has been repaid at the end of the year. It means, just a minute, it means that bank loan 11,000 is no more your bank loan. So bank loan will be decreased by 11,000 and your bank, which is supposed to be paid by 11,000, will be converted into bank overdraft. क्योंकि हमारे पास बैंक जो है वो पॉजिटिव कम है, जबकि we need to pay the bank loan in full. So the bank will become bank overdraft. Yes. क्या चीज? अच्छा जी, गॉट इट. जी आई गॉट इट. देखिए This accrued expense is going to be debited. So we will subtract this accrued expenses from other payable. Other payable will decrease by 1250. Same is the case, prepaid expenses, prepaid distribution will be added in other receivables. That will be done. But the distribution expense, which is going to be credited with the double amount, 2500, that has to be adjusted in the statement of profit and loss. That's why we have corrected the profit by 2500. All three effects we'll do. But the two effects is supposed to be done in the statement of financial position, not in the statement of profit. वो करेंगे. आगे next आता है जी. Taxation liability, fifth point मैंने छोड़ दिया, had been overestimated by 3000. So it's quite easy. But you will do the pass the entry that provision for taxation is going to be debited, or profit and loss is going to be credited by 3000. How, sir? Okay, you can pass the entry. When you have created the tax provision, the entry will be profit and loss account debit as an expense, and tax payable is going to be credited. Tax payable is a liability. But now he has suggested in the question that you have recorded tax payable 3000 more than its actual amount. So you have to go for the reverse entry. So tax payable is going to be debited. It will decrease, and profit and loss account is going to be credited by 3000, because you will add 3000 in profit because it has been wrongly subtracted by 3000 more than its actual amount. So add क्या लिखना पड़ेगा? Overcast taxation, that is 3000. Now we'll move to the next part of the story, and that is regarding the depreciation. The property was purchased on 1st July 2021. We are dealing with 24 actually, 23 to 24. So 21 से 22, 22 से 23, and had been correctly depreciated for each of the 2 years ended 30th June 2023 using the straight line method at 2% per annum. However, the depreciation charge on the property for the year ended 30th June 2024 had been incorrectly calculated using the reducing balance method at the rate of 10%. तो लास्ट जो है वो आपने गलत कैलकुलेट कर लिया है. Can incorrectly calculate the reducing balance method at the rate of 10%. So let's see what is the depreciation. Property, the amount is 8160, and he has already discussed that the property was purchased on 1st July. So it means that the property has been depreciated by for 3 years. It has been depreciated already, but we have to go for the previous part of the year. So what you are going to do, the last year, that is 2%. So cost is given. So let me calculate it. 60,000 is the cost, right? Then 2% is the depreciation in the first year. How much? 1200. Again, for 21 to 22, then for 22 to 23, it is 2% again 1200. Then you will subtract again for 60,000. For the third year, you need to calculate the depreciation in the same manner, which is 60,000 into 2% should have been 1200. Should have been 1200. But instead of charging 1200, what we have done, 60,000 में से हमने minus कर दिया बेटा कितना? 2400. What is the book value? जी 57600 into 10%. 5760. So just add it up now. What amount you will get? I mean 5760 plus 1200 plus 1200. How much? वही आ रहा same है? I'll repeat again. This is 8160, the depreciation which has been given in the question. How it is calculated? The depreciation charge is at the rate of 2% on the cost through straight line method. So we have depreciated from 2021 to 22, 60,000 into 20%, that is 1200. Again 2022 to 23, again it will come 60,000 into 2%, 1200. Then for the third year, again we will calculate 2023 to 24, 60,000 into 2%, 1200. But instead of charging 1200, we have wrongly charged depreciation by reducing balance method at the rate of 10%. So how come at the start of 1st July 2023, the book value of the property is 60,000 minus 2,400, 1,200 and 1,200, because 2 years have already been passed. So we have depreciated the asset by these two amounts, 1,200 and 1,200, subtracted. The book value is 57600, and we have calculated 10% rather than 2%. That is 5760. It means we have subtracted 5760 instead of 12. So that becomes very, very easy. How come, sir? देखें, मैं क्या करूंगा? यहां से मैं जो 5760 क्या कर दूंगा बेटा? Add depreciation wrongly charged. डिफरेंस भी ले सकता हूं, लेकिन ये जरा ज्यादा मुझे बेहतर लग रहा है. ये गलत माइनस की ना आपने, तो ऐड कर दूंगा 5760 एंड लेस करेक्ट डेप्रिसिएशन, दैट इज 1200. तो 5760 में ऐड कर दूंगा एंड द 1200 विच इज गोइंग टू बी द करेक्ट अमाउंट वो मैं सब्ट्रैक्ट कर दूंगा. सर डिफरेंस लेके कर दें, यस यू कैन डू दैट, नो प्रॉब्लम, बट दैट इज मोर लॉजिकल, दैट इज मोर इजीली अंडरस्टैंडेबल. सो दैट्स व्हाई आई फॉलोड दैट प्रोसेस कि भाई आपने 5760 माइनस कर दिया हुआ था, जो कि गलत था, करना आपने 1200 था, तो मैंने 5760 ऐड कर दिया एंड 1200 आई हैव सब्ट्रैक्टेड. सो यू कैन कैलकुलेट द करेक्टेड प्रॉफिट. सॉरी, जी 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 जी. Even while preparing the balance sheet, you will do the same, so that will become easier for us. Nine seven four one zero. So this is going to be your corrected profit. जी देखें, यहां तक कोई मसला है तो बताएं मुझे. नाउ आई विल मूव टुवर्ड्स द प्रिपरेशन ऑफ द करेक्टेड स्टेटमेंट ऑफ फाइनेंशियल पोजीशन. तो वो हमने बनानी है, बनाते हैं हम. Statement of financial position. So we'll start with the non-current assets. We have two types of non-current asset, if I am not wrong. We have two types of non-current assets. Let's see. That is plant and equipment, 137,000, and provision for depreciation is 66,940. So let me go for the third column also. Plant and equipment. The cost of plant and equipment is 137,000. I'll write here. And the depreciation is going to be 66,940. So calculate the net book value. What is the net book value? What's the net book value? 70060. Okay. Next is going to be the property. Property is 60,000, and it is quite simple to understand this concept, that the value of the property at cost is 60,000. And I can write the depreciation, that is 3,600. How, sir? 1,200, 1,200 and 1,200. Or you can do that 8160 minus 5760 plus 1,200. You will get the same answer. So one and the same thing. 8160, whatever be the depreciation, minus 5760 plus 1,200. G, 3,600. क्या आता है जी? 56400. So let's go for the total of the book value. 126,460. Okay. Next, we are going to write current assets. And current assets हमें लिखने हैं. Basically, if you just make up your mind, you will see that this question is basically regarding the errors. Completely, it's about errors. So we'll start with the closing inventory. Then we will go with the, I don't know, trade receivables are given, but first let's write the closing inventory. So closing inventory is given here, that is 83900. And if we just look at the entries about closing inventory 83900. It is debited by 2000. So you have to add 2000 in the closing inventory. So I will do that. 83900 plus 2000. What is the amount? So it is always good to write the working because it will give a better impact to the students. ये क्या आता है? 85900. Then comes if there are trade payables or trade receivables. Yes, trade receivables are 32680. So I will write here in the same manner. Trade receivable, and then other receivables. 32680 is the amount of trade receivable. There is no change in trade receivable. If it would have been bad debts are given, we would have subtracted the bad debts. Then comes other receivables. In other receivables are given here, that is 5320, and they needs to be adjusted. I will write 5320, 5320. Let's see. I will see the entries because that will make me understand more quickly and more easily that how I'm going to solve the question. So entries basically suggested that other receivables, prepaid distribution expense is going to be debited, right? So that prepaid distribution will be, what I will do with that, अच्छा वो हमने कर दिया एडजस्ट उसको, ठीक है. प्रीपेड डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन 1250 अदर रिसीवेबल में क्या हो जाएगा बेटा, ऐड हो जाएगा. ओके, प्लस 1250. व्हाट इज द आंसर? 6570. Now because bank overdraft is converted into bank is converted to bank overdrafts, we'll write it afterward. Let's go for the total of the current asset and we'll find the total assets also. 125150, and then you will go for the total assets. Equity and liability section spelling थोड़ी बात गलत हो गई, कोई बात नहीं. 251,610. Okay. Now ordinary share capital. The amount of ordinary share capital which is given is 70,000 and share premium is 4280. So I will write here 70,000. Share premium is 4280. And now I am going to write the retained earnings. So there is some change in the retained earnings. How? I will let you know. Retained earnings are given in the question. Yes, they are given here. 122,300. Right? So 122,300 is the retained earnings. Just a minute. Now that retained earnings is included after profit, I think so. Right? I think it is after profit retained earning is given. Let's see if we do something wrong, then we can adjust it. 12300. मैं एज्यूम कर रहा हूं मैं कि प्रॉफिट जो ये वाला गलत वाला प्रॉफिट है ना वो हमने ऐड किया हुआ. कौन से वाला? ये 83250. करेक्ट प्रॉफिट क्या है? 97410. क्या करूंगा मैं जी? 122,300 में माइनस कर दूंगा 83250 और प्लस कर दूंगा 97410. एक तो ये एडजस्टमेंट होगी. लेट मी चेक ऑल्सो. 83250 plus 97410, and there is going to be 2100 will be subtracted. So I will subtract 2100 also. Why, sir? Because of the taxation. Provision for taxation था ना. Admin expenses में you have adjusted it in the admin expenses, but it needs to be subtracted from the not taxation, dividend. There was a dividend payment. Sorry, dividend payment was interim dividend 21,000. 3,000 is already adjusted. I had written it wrong. That is 21,000. That is for the dividend payment, not 3,000. 3,000 is the taxation actually. So 21,000 is the dividend payment. What is the answer? Let me repeat it again. No problem. See, retained earnings is given 122,300 minus 83,520 plus 97,410. Or this is retained earnings are debited because of the dividend payment. So 2,100 will be subtracted because we have added it in admin expenses. वहां से माइनस कर दिए, रिटेन्ड अर्निंग में ऐड कर दिए, यानी रिटेन्ड अर्निंग में से आपको ये रिटेन्ड अर्निंग को कम कर रहे हैं माइनस करने पर। जी क्या आता है? 2,100 है। ओके 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 2,100 ओके 134,360 टोटल कर लें इसका, क्या आता है इन सबका? 208,600 208,640. Okay, now we have current liabilities. In current liabilities there is going to be trade payable, then there is going to be other payable, then there is going to be taxation. Taxation basically a taxation payable होता. So let's see the amount of trade payable given. Trade payables are 21450. There is no change in trade payables actually. So I will write 21450 here. Other payable, there is a change actually. Why, sir? Because other payables are given in the question. That is 3,150. But we have something over here, accrued expenses 1,250. So 3,150 minus 1,250 because other payable are going to decrease. Accrued expenses are debited. So can you calculate it? 3,150 minus 1,250. 1,900 is the amount. And then taxation payable. Bank overdraft will also come. Taxation is 13,600. And we have basically taxation has been written additional. So we need to subtract the amount of taxation. 3,000, yes. So 13,600 minus 3,000. That is 10,300. Sorry? 10,600. Okay. Now I will write the bank overdraft. So bank overdraft needs to be adjusted. Why, sir? Because we have paid the bank loan. I will also show the taxation amount also. See, taxation was 13,600. It has been told that was that 125, sorry, admin expenses, no. Yeah, taxation liability has been estimated, had been overestimated. So हमने 3,000 टैक्सेस में से माइनस कर दिया और वो प्रॉफिट में हमने वापस ऐड भी किया। अब वो कहता है हमें कि बैंक ओवरड्राफ्ट जो है वो हमारा 6% लोन हमने पे ऑफ कर दिया। तो 1980 minus 11,000, what is the amount?